Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com. Well, today is all about the Fed. We do have some housing start numbers coming out at 8:30 that could change the market, but I think most of the focus, of course, is going to be on the Fed meeting, which concludes at 2 p.m. this afternoon. And then, of course, volatility usually starts after the press conference gets going. So we'll just have to wait and see. So far, stock index futures are trading above fair value. We've got the Dow up 125 points. Commodities are flat, while Bitcoin is down about $1,500 last time I checked in the pre-market. Now, you might have seen this headline. The Dow is on its longest losing streak since 1978. And in percentage terms, it's not that big a deal. We certainly have a pullback here, but the headline might have been more interesting if they had have talked about what's going on with the transports and the utilities, which are currently breaking down at the moment. And that's probably not a good thing going forward. But then again, seasonally, there is some selling in the middle of December. So the market certainly has time to turn around before year end. Looking at the VIX for the S&P 500, for the NASDAQ, and for the Russell 2000 are all on buy signals right now, and so are the major VIX ETFs. So we're trying to make money as the VIX starts to move up. Now, moving on to the major index ETFs, starting off with the iShares for the TSX 60. We ended the day just down a penny, and we came off a new low. So it does show up as a bullish reversal signal, but certainly a weak one. Now, why is it a bullish reversal signal? Well, we opened at 37.99 and then we made a new low and closed at 38.09. So closing higher than we opened. But we didn't close on a positive note, and we certainly didn't close above the previous day's high. So that is known as a very weak bullish reversal signal, and we got a lot of those yesterday. Now, what didn't work on the TSX 60? Well, OpenText was the big loser, followed by George Weston, and then TELUS trying to get some of the spotlight away from Bell and Rogers, who have certainly been at the bottom of the performance list over the past few weeks. Now, looking at what worked and what didn't work, well, the TSX held up much better than the U.S. market did yesterday. We did have four sectors that were actually up on the day. There's the energy sector continuing to move lower. It was down nearly 0.75% before bouncing. Gold stocks were down at the end of the day, but just by a dime after making a new low. Then the industrials. The industrials were certainly down on the day, nearly 0.5%, being led lower by Air Canada and Bombardier, both of those stocks rolling over on Tuesday. And then we've got Energy Fuels. That was the next big loser of the day. Now, looking at the S&P 500, we traded down to the lower channel line yesterday, did not close below it. So still looking for a close on Wednesday below $603.35. Now, that's what the world thinks the market looks like. In reality, it probably looks a lot more like this, with the equal weighted S&P 500 trying to hold the lows from November. Now, it was another lopsided day. We only had 120 gainers, 4 unchanged, and 376 losers. So 3 times the amount of losers to gainers yesterday. What worked? Well, the only thing that worked yesterday in the U.S. market was consumer discretionary. Everything else was lower. The top two losing stocks on the S&P 500 yesterday were Humana and CVS, both still on the sell signals. No change for either of those stocks on Tuesday. Looking at the NASDAQ 100, it had an inside day yesterday. Also a bit lopsided, 38 gainers, 63 losers. So we were down nearly 0.5% on the day. The equal weighted NASDAQ was also down nearly 0.5% on the day, while the next generation NASDAQ was down just 5 cents, so 0.16% on the day, and it had an inside day, so a day of indecision. The big loser on the NASDAQ 100 was Marvell, followed by Broadcom. Broadcom having an inside day on Tuesday. And what do you know, a cell phone company getting hit hard, with T-Mobile down nearly 4% on the day. And CrowdStrike was down over 3% on the day, but it had an inside day and did not close below the previous day's low. So nothing broken there so far. Let's finish off looking at the Magnificent Eight, starting off with the ETF, making a new high yesterday and closing at that high. Certainly, we had Apple pushing the ETF higher. Apple's closing above the 250 level, but we're still stuck to it. The low yesterday was 249.78. So we haven't broken away from 250 just yet. There's Amazon having an inside day on Tuesday. And then we had a reversal for Alphabet. Why did we reverse? Well, we punched through 200 and pulled back. And yeah, that's a reversal day, but we did not close below the previous day's low, so not too worried so far. Then looking at Meta stuck at 625. If we can take 625 out, if we can take the high out from last week, then we could move up to the 650, 625 level. Moving from Meta to Microsoft, if we go back a month and we looked up, we were trading in a range between 406.25 and 437.50. And that looked like major resistance. And then if we go ahead a couple of weeks, you can see 437.50, and then our next target was 453.13. So if we punch through 437.50, we should get to 453.13. And what happened? Well, we punched through the 437.50 level, and here we are up at the 453.13 level. And then above that, of course, we've got 468.75. So if we can take out the recent high, then 468.75 should come into play. Now, looking at NVIDIA, a completely different picture for NVIDIA. We started to slip below the 130 level and the 131.25 level. We closed at 130.39 yesterday, so below the 131.25 level. Now, some people are talking about the potential chart pattern here of a head and shoulders top. And of course, what we can do is measure from the head to the neckline, which is right here, and then draw that down. So that's pretty easy to do. You can count 3 lines up for the from the neckline to the head, and 3 lines down takes us down to 112.50. So some people who are looking at the head and shoulders pattern here are looking down to 112.50 for NVIDIA. Now, Shopify is still on a buy signal. The pros kind of dipped a little, and we had a little bit of a pullback, but it wasn't enough to give us a sell signal. We have not broken down below 112.50, and our next target in New York is 125. On the TSX, our next target is 175, and we closed at 170.88 on Tuesday. And last up this morning, we've got Tesla. Tesla up again yesterday, over 3%, heading towards that big round number of $500. It's currently trading a little lower in the pre-market this morning, but I'm sure Tesla traders want to hit that big round number of $500. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. We've got housing numbers coming out at 8:30, but it's really all about the Fed today. And it'll be interesting to see what they say about Trump and all of his, they may not say anything at all, but certainly Trump has thrown a monkey wrench into what the Fed wants to do in 2025. You have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Thursday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.